Welcome to The Explainer. You know, in tech, it feels like every shiny new promise, it always comes with some kind of hidden catch, right? Well, this week was a perfect example of that two-sided coin. All right, let's just dive right in. The biggest story, no question, was the launch of OpenAI's GPT-5. I mean, this thing was hailed as a monumental, just a giant leap forward for AI. And the hype, it was just immense. I mean, you have the CEO, Sam Altman, saying things like this. The company was basically positioning it as a complete revolution, something that makes everything before it feel totally obsolete. So that's the promise. But what happens when that promise slams into reality? Well, almost immediately after this thing launched, the other side of that coin started to show. The backlash from users was, well, it was swift and it was sharp. We're talking paid users, people on places like Reddit who were just tearing into the new model's performance. You had the official story, and then you had this, which was a completely different reality. And it wasn't just user feedback. The rollout itself was kind of plagued by these really embarrassing mistakes. Like during the official live stream, they put up this chart to show how the new model was less deceptive. But look closely. The bar for the old model, GPT-4o, is actually smaller, even though the number is bigger. It was such an obvious visual flub that even the CEO, Sam Altman, had to come out and call it a mega chart screw-up. Whoops. At the same time, they're also trying to fix a really fundamental problem with the AI. It's called sycophancy, which is just a fancy way of saying the AI tries way too hard to agree with you, to be a people pleaser. So their solution? They're rolling out these optional personalities, like a cynic or a robot, to try and make the bot's answers a little more direct and, hopefully a lot more useful. And while all this is happening on the surface, behind the scenes, there is an all-out talent war raging. I mean, companies like Meta and Elon Musk's XAI are just poaching top researchers left and right. And it's not just OpenAI feeling the heat. The competition is so fierce that Tesla actually had to disband its entire super ambitious Dojo supercomputer team because its leader and a bunch of key engineers just up and left for a startup, just gone. So how do you stop that kind of talent bleed? Well, for OpenAI, the answer seems to be money. Lots of it. They're now paying out these special one-time bonuses. We're talking millions of dollars just to convince their top tech people to stay. Okay, so the point here is that this whole pattern, this promise versus peril thing, it isn't just about one AI launch. Not at all. We're starting to see it pop up everywhere in the tech that you and I use every single day. You get a cool new feature, but it comes with a catch. So let's talk about one of the biggest new features on the horizon. We need to define a term here, agentic AI. This is a huge deal. It's the next wave, where AI stops just answering your questions and starts acting on your behalf. Think of it as an AI that can actually go out, browse the web, use services, and get stuff done for you. But, and there's always a but, right? All that new power introduces all new risks. For example, researchers just found a pretty scary flaw. Just by tricking one of these AI agents into visiting a malicious link, a hacker could exploit a really simple vulnerability to basically, to steal the agent's brain. They could get access to your sensitive files, your API keys, the whole shebang. And you see this same kind of trade-off right on your phone. The next version of Android, Android 16, is getting a new feature called USB protection. Sounds great, right? It's designed to stop physical attacks when your phone is locked. The catch? It also disables fast charging until you unlock your phone and unplug and replug the charger. So a new security feature creates a brand new annoyance for something as simple as charging your phone. All right, so this constant push and pull between convenience and security, it leads us directly into our next big trade-off. And this one's a doozy. How do we make the internet safer, especially for kids, without giving up our own personal privacy? Take what's happening in the UK. Under their new Online Safety Act, millions of people are now being forced to verify their age to access a whole bunch of websites. And the big question is, who exactly are you handing your driver's license or a scan of your face over to? And when you start digging into the companies that are actually handling this data, you find this huge range of different policies. It's kind of wild. Some companies, like Yoti, say they delete your data as soon as the check is done. Great. But then you have others, like Stripe, which is used by X and Blue Sky, that can hang on to your biometric data for a year and other ID info for 3 years. That's a massive long-term privacy risk just sitting there. And look, this isn't just some theoretical what-if scenario. A jury just found that Meta, Facebook, illegally collected super sensitive health data from the Flow period tracking app. The potential penalty? A staggering $5,000 per violation. And we're talking about millions of users here. Do the math on that. It's an absolutely massive verdict, and it just goes to show you the very real consequences when companies are caught secretly profiting from our most private, most intimate information. So where does all this lead? Well, ultimately, all these big tech trends, the AI talent wars, the new security features, the privacy regulations, they all eventually lead to one place: your wallet. Yep, the bill is coming due. A perfect example is Sonos. The company just came out and said they're going to have to raise prices on some of their speakers later this year. And one of the key reasons they cited? The downstream impact of international tariffs on actually making the tech. And it's not just about the price of hardware going up. The whole free ride we've had for years, it's over. Just look at streaming services. An executive at HBO Max literally said their crackdown on password sharing is about to get aggressive. The era of getting something for nothing, or, sharing, is definitely coming to an end. Okay, so with all these new risks, these rising costs, and all this complexity, it's easy to feel a little helpless. So what can you actually do about it? Well, the good news is you're not powerless here. You have agency. You can take back some control. So let's get practical. Here are a few things you can do right now. First off, be really careful with app permissions. Don't just click allow on everything. A really smart move is to use a totally separate, maybe even a throwaway, email account just for your AI agents. Think of it like a digital quarantine zone. And simple stuff like using private browser windows when you're playing with new AI tools, it all adds up. And definitely regularly check which third-party services you've given access to your main accounts. All of this really leaves us with one final, crucial question to think about. As technology gets smarter and more woven into our lives, who is ultimately responsible for keeping you safe? Is it the company that builds the tech, the government that regulates it, or is it, in the end, on you? Where does the buck stop? Thanks for watching.